Good morning, dear students. Welcome to the subject of lexicology. I'm Tursunov Mirzo Maxmudovoch, Associate Professor of English Linguistics Department, Foreign Languages Faculty. Today, in a lexicology class, we're going to discuss some problems in lecture 14. Elements making up the English vocabulary. It is the theme of today's lecture, and we have 4 plans to discuss with you. Ways and means of enriching vocabulary, neologisms and archaisms, professional terms, and fourth problem will be devoted to international words. Students, let's start from archaisms. What are archaisms? Maybe you heard about these words before. The archaisms are words, lexical units, which are not used in the language anymore. They have already become passive words, and they have faded away. They are lost in the language. And there are some reasons why words become archaic. There are some linguistic and extra-linguistic factors. And students, I should tell you that by development of science, by development of technology, by development of society and life of people, some words become useless and people stop using them. For example, can you imagine, for example, words which were used in 1940 and today to use them is no need. There is no any need to use them in modern life of us. So they become naturally, automatically, they become archaisms. And let's pay attention to some additional further explanations. For example, morphological forms. Some morphological forms of words cannot be used or cannot be accepted in modern grammar and lexicology. For example, singers or zone makers, they are not used in modern English today. They are morphologically wrong today in grammar of the English language, or they are out of usage already. Or poetic words, some vow, happily, they are also not used in modern poetry of England, of America, because they have already become archaic words. And of course, we have some historical words. Knight, spear, warrior, they are used to explain some historical events. They are actively used in some historical articles or books, but in everyday language, in everyday speech, we cannot hear such words at all. And obsolete words, you can see some examples, name, things, palfrey, they are not used in modern language as well. And students, there are some differences between archaic and obsolete words. As I told you, archaic words are old and words which are no longer used in modern lexicology, in modern language, and obsolete words are no longer used because something new was invented. Obsolete words have completely gone out of use. There is a little bit of slight difference between these notions. And a number of archaisms can be found in literature of the English language, like literature of England or literature, American literature can give us examples of archaic words. But it should be taken into consideration that what we call as archaic words today were neologisms, new words in, for example, Shakespeare's times. All words which were used by William Shakespeare in the Middle Ages were neologisms for that time. At that time, people used those words in oral and in their written speech, and they were actively used in language. But today, for us, for modern users of this language, or native speakers, native language carriers, consider them to be archaic words. And some more examples of archaic words are on the screen. Morn for morning, eve for evening, errand for wandering, errand nights, for example. Today we do not say I woke up in the morn and I had breakfast. No, we say morning. Like morn has already become an archaic word, students. And what comes to historic words, we should here mention one more like additional thing, that historical words depict the color of the period. So, for example, can you imagine, we're speaking about Anglo-Saxon period in the which like took place in 55 BC or after that period. So, and if you use some words which were mentioned in some Sanskrit manuscripts of those documents, they would probably give some depiction of that period. If we say, for example, some Anglo-Saxon periods words, we can picture to our mind that period. So historical words can give us color of that period. For example, Norman conquest in 1066. If we take some words from Norman period of England and use them, we can give some coloring of that period. And students, what are neologisms? Probably you have heard about this term before, because it is popularly used term in our language. Neologisms, they are new words which have come into the language by discovering, by inventing of new things in life. Imagine that one scientist invents something and there is a need to name that concept, and he gives a name to this word. So this word becomes a neologism and is accepted in the language. Like neo means new, logos means word or speech. Every day tens or even hundreds of neologisms come into life. Today, our life, our society, generally taken from the big scale, is developing rapidly by the influence of technology. Every time in Japan, in Germany, in America, they are creating something new, and those ideas, those concepts, those new items should be named somehow. And of course, new names are given to them. So they are neologisms. And we cannot stop or put barrier into any language not to accept neologisms. Our life itself, our society, our life itself accepts neologisms into vocabulary, into speeches of us. Can you imagine, did we use words megabyte, Wi-Fi, internet or telegram 20 years ago or 40 years ago? No, we didn't use them. As they are neologisms which have already entered our life from the new basis. That is a neologism. A neologism is a term used to describe a word that has been made up or invented by a speaker, which appears in a transcript of spontaneous speech dialogue. So, and there are some means of word creation. So, as we mentioned to you in our previous lectures, the English language has got some ways to create words. With the help of affixation, by adding prefixes and suffixes, we can make up new words, like virus, antivirus, phase, interface. Like with the help of prefixes, suffixes, we create new words for English vocabulary. Conversion, it is like a popularly used linguistic phenomenon in the English language, when one word can be used as a noun and it can be used as a verb. So if we change part of speech of one word, so we are converting part of speech. Update can be used as a noun and as a verb. For example, Google. Google was a popular word. It was used as a noun, so Google is a platform, a big platform. But today we are using it as a verb. So I'm Googling now for some information. So Google is used as a verb here. So we are using process of conversion by making a noun to be a verb. Or for example, Skype, it is a popular noun, but we can use it as a verb. So we're using linguistic process of conversion in order to create new words again. So some compound words can be made, screen and touch, two different words. If we add them, if we combine, join them together, touch screen, a new word can appear. Semantic change, by the help of metaphysics, metonymies, synecdoches, ironies, by the help of stylistic devices, we give new semantic meaning to the word. For example, software, hardware, online, offline, they are not giving us direct meanings now. They are, so people themselves give them expressive meaning, additional meaning by changing semantics of them. And languages borrow some new words, as you know. For example, the English language has also borrowed a number of new words from other languages, including Italian, violin, opera, piano, trio, duet, solo. They are words which were borrowed from the Italian language. So languages borrow words from each other. That is also a way of creating new words. And students, there are some categories of neologisms: proper neologisms, transnominations, semantic innovations. And the new form is combined with a new concept like blog, thought processor, telework clock. They are proper neologisms. Well, new form is combined with a new concept. Probably there was a word blog in the English language, and a new concept was brought into life by the influence of technology, and the blog's meaning, old words meaning was given a new life, a new concept. So it is proper neologisms. Old words are given new meanings by new concepts bringing to their form and content. Transnominations, a new form is combined with an already existing concept, like drag it out. So the concept is already existing in drag out, and just new close meaning, concept meaning is given to the old one. And semantic innovations, new concept takes the name of from already active in language. New concept takes the name. Vegetable, cool, dry, weak, or thick. They are semantic innovations, but one word is innovated by influence of new ideas. And there are three types of neologisms: terminological coinages, stylistic coinages, and nonce word. Terminological coinages are those which designate new form concepts. Stylistic coinages, words coined because they are created seek expressive utterance, and nonce word, word which is coined to suit one particular occasion. And students, here I would like you to pay attention to the meaning of coinage. What is coinage itself? There's a newly created lexeme, nouns were 16th century phrase for the nouns, meaning for the ones, a lexeme created for temporary use to solve an immediate problem of communication. Like examples can be given here: customer friendly, nature friendly, your friendly, waitism, heightism, and others. Back formation, television, televis, double glazing, babysitter, babysit, and etc. And as we have already mentioned, give some theoretical view of neologisms, and some examples are given here. Radar, black hole, hyperspace. If you think the radar is a new word, no. New meaning is given to the old word. New concept is given to this old word. X-ray was invented in 1885. Can you imagine? Some new life is given to this word. And how can we translate neologisms? It is a big question. Some languages just take neologisms from any other language and adopt it into their own one by changing one sound or by adopting it into pronunciation system of their own language. But some words are not taken at all, and they're just put as they are. One, there are some ways of translations of neologisms. It's up to the country, up to the language, how to adopt or implement them into life. And here, students, we should mention some another term, which is international verb. So probably you heard about international verbs, which are popularly used in all languages in the world. Like international verbs are accepted words for having better, more easily communication with countries and with cultures. Usually international terms are related to science and medicine. Like whatever happens in life, international rules cannot be touched because they are accepted, admitted throughout the world. Changing international words or trying to translate them into other languages can cause some problems and misunderstanding of languages. Some examples are airplane, television, antenna, or biology, physics. Biology is said in English, but in Russian we can say biologia, in Uzbek biologia, in other languages. Slight difference in sound, but the basis is the same. So, as I told you, names of sciences, terms of art, political terms, they are like internationally accepted words. And some political terms can be also international words. Revolution, democracy, policy, they are accepted throughout the world. Terms of art, music, theater, drama, tragedy, comedy, they are also admitted into all languages of the world. And the English language also gave birth to some international words. Football, as you know, it was invented in England, and it gave this international word to the whole world, including baseball, hockey, cricket, rugby, and other sport types were born in the English language, and they are accepted as international words. Students, if you pay attention, some Italian words which are called international ones are usually related to culture and art, as Italy was a center of Renaissance period in Europe in the Middle Ages. It gave international words related to art and culture, not only to the English language, but to most languages of the world, including Indo-European languages. And that's why, as I already told you, concept, opera, piano, allegro, andante, and other words related to culture, art, music are from Italian, by the way. And students, now some words about terminology. Like, what is terminology? Terminology consists of special terms belonging to one profession or sphere of life. Terminology is not just a question of meaning conveyed with terms, but it is a question of concepts that find their medium in linguistic form within a specific field of knowledge. Like every sphere of life, every field of life has got its own terms which cannot usually be understood or be translated into by other specialists in other spheres. For example, there are some terms in physics, in medicine, which cannot be explained or translated by other specialists in other fields. So there should be special terminologists, linguists, who will probably define them in understandable forms, or that specialists can clarify what the term is. And as I told you, every profession has got its own terminology. You should be very careful with terms in every sphere, because specialists understand what they are, and whether to translate it, no, it is up to them. And usually terms cannot be translated into other languages. Terms should be monosemantic. They should be independent of the context. There should not be any more meaning of professional terms. They have only denotational meanings. There cannot be any extra meaning of these words. For example, there cannot be a connotational meaning because they are related to science. And those terms should not have synonyms, because otherwise there can be a big problem with terminology. And there are some internet terms which are also popularly actively used in our languages, and they also do not have any synonyms or any connotation meanings. They are terms belonging to IT. Students, that was all for today. Thank you for your attention. See you.